Welcome to Dr. Mary Travel Best's 5 Steps to Solo Travel Guide for women like you who need a little extra support traveling the world one woman at a time. I've been traveling solo since 1972. Please share this podcast with your mom, aunts, and travelers so you make their trips the very best. In this episode, the FAQ is, if I'm a step 2 traveler, how do I reach step 3? Today's destination, Banff, Canada. Today's mistake, I rented a hotel room in Alaska without AC. And travel advice, stoke your wanderlust. And now for the FAQ. If I'm a step 2 traveler, how do I reach step 3? So to explain, step 2 is for traveling in the same country with familiar settings. For example, traveling from New York to Los Angeles. Getting over that step 2 travel takes a little bit of adventure. So you're going to travel a little bit further in step 3. Ask yourself, am I ready to see more diverse experiences now? Am I prepared to move to a distant land for a visit? Maybe I want to go to Hawaii, maybe Alaska, or maybe the Bahamas. So here's how you do that. So you get a travel guidebook, just like 5 Steps to Solo Travel Part B, which is coming out soon. And you can start researching the area for clues on how to get there, what to do, and how to prepare. Then talk to people you know who've been there. Ask them questions. What did they like? Be curious. Eventually, you will have the courage and the savings to make the trip and enjoy the higher step to a more challenging and rewarding adventure. They go hand in hand. And now for today's destination, Banff, Canada. So Banff, Canada was on my bucket list for maybe 25 years. It may be on yours too. You can get there by train, plane, or automobile. When you get there, you'll see the pure beauty of Canada's outdoors, even if it's raining. It's scenic and green because it rains a lot here. You could take the drive from Calgary to Banff. It's about 90 miles. It's a beautiful drive. So I drove to Banff from Waterton, Canada. I had been to Glacier National Park in Montana, and then I went to the Canadian side of the national park and explored further into Canada. I really like when I got to Banff, I just fell in love with it. It's like a European city. And one of the first things I did was walk around the city, and then I found a hike. So I'm going to tell you about the hike to the Sulphur Mountain Trail. It's about 5.5 kilometers, and it was about 655 meters of elevation. And it took about 2.5 to 3 hours. It was a good hike. On the hike, though, I saw some really, really beautiful views. And it was the views of the Bow Valley. Now, I got up to the top and I walked around and I found this cosmic ray station. But, you don't have to hike it to enjoy that. You can take the gondola. 4 people at a time go up in the gondola, and that only takes about 8 minutes. It gets to the top of the Sulphur Mountain, and then you get this great bird's eye view. There are 6 mountain ranges there. So whether you take the hike or you take the gondola, you can walk along the boardwalk up at the top, and you're going to just really enjoy it. You get a 360-degree observation deck, and then there's also a theater, and there are interactive exhibits, and there are some restaurants. Now, after I came down, that jacuzzi at the bottom of the mountain felt great after my hike. So I hope you get a chance to have a nice jacuzzi. Banff is known for its hot springs, so take 1 or more. Now, the Banff Springs Hotel is a Fairmont, and they had a convention center there, and it was a really nice coffee and tea. Then I drove over to Lake Louise, to the Chateau, which is also a Fairmont, and I had one of the best buffet breakfasts. So I hope you get there. It's a 5-star quality, and it's got a high price also. but I figured why not? I ate for the whole day here. And the weather was pouring rain. But then within an hour, the skies opened up and it was sunny. I was walking around the property and they have this beautiful lake, Lake Louise, and you could see the reflections in the turquoise water. And so nearby, after you go to visit Lake Louise, you can see the Ice Fields Highway. And so you drive along that highway and you see these glaciers. It's about a 3.5, it's a 4-hour trip. Or you could spend the whole day doing that, depending on how often you stop. Now, you could hire a driver. There are tours if you don't have a car. You'll see the Bow Falls and Moraine Lake. I kept going. I just kept on the road and I went all the way up to Jasper. So that was a really pretty area too. So to summarize, do see the Icefields Highway, but don't get too close to a moose. And now for my lesson learned. I rented a hotel room in Alaska without air conditioning. I know, it sounds crazy, right? Most days in Alaska are cold, but I visited twice and both in July. So if you're going to Alaska in the summer, just ask and see if they have air conditioning. I traveled during those hot days and there was no AC to cool off. Now you may find a fan, which really would help, and I eventually did find one. But remember, there are extreme temperatures in Alaska, and that's a lesson that I learned. And now for today's travel advice is to stoke your wanderlust. That's right. If you're thinking of a trip you want to take, start a list of things you know about that country or area. Do you know anyone who's been there? Do you know anyone else who may know about the region? Visit your local library, a bookstore, and do an online search. Find out more. Just satisfy your curiosity and keep that list growing. It will soon become your bucket list for travel. I want to bring meaning to your travels, so send a question or travel tip. Send me your bucket list at info@drmarytravelbest.com. Let's connect on my website. You can also connect with me on my Facebook page or group or Instagram. And you could subscribe to YouTube, Twitter, or other social channels. Find the 5 Steps to Solo Travel series on Amazon. And check the show notes for more details.
What's on your travel bucket list? Tell the doctor and her team of women who travel the world seeking the very best. Dr. Travel Best, that is.